So that night he left. Praise God. You know, we listened to that tape and we talked about it. And he was like, all right, have a good night. I said, have a good night. And he left. I was like, whoa, this is getting heavy. Now, this is Wednesday. Okay. I had just met him Sunday. I get to work Thursday morning. And guess what? I had an email and from the brother, from Mario. And he said, you know, I've been praying and I'm interested in you. And I believe that you are my wife, right? What is the greater one saying on the inside of you? And this is the email. And I never responded. I didn't respond to the email because I was like, oh boy, you know, this wasn't what I thought would happen. And so I let hours go by, and that wasn't like me because him and I would talk all the time, you know, whether through email or phone. And he finally called me, and I said, let me go ahead and pick up this phone. And I said, hello. You know how you get out, hello, like, you know what I'm saying, really informal. He was like, what you been doing? I've been busy, you know, just busy around here. He was like, did you get my email? I was like, yeah, I got it. And he said, well, what do you think about what I said? And I was like, he said, you know, I believe that God told me that you was my wife. And I said, well, God didn't tell me that. He was like, whatever. Well, let me ask you this. What do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? So now I'm feeling like, oh, we getting into those sorts of questions. Well, let me go ahead and hit you with, and y'all should know what I told him. I said, I don't know, but all I know is I'm going to Houston.
Houston.
And he said, Houston? I was like, yes, Houston. And he said, how do you figure you going to Houston? And y'all already know the defenses came right up. Boom, 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 boom. How do I know I'm going to Houston? Because when I was 19 years old, I got fired from the bank. And the Lord told me two things. He told me I was going to school, and he told me Houston. And I said, and I went to school. I went to Georgia State University. And I guess Houston is just for a later time. And he said, oh, really? I said, yes, really. Now, I'm getting really perturbed because I know that he was raised in the church. Yep. And he was, you know, his father was a pastor. He was just, you know, always in the church atmosphere, basically. And he might have been looking at me like I was a heathen. You know, my family don't go to church. Nobody in my family is a pastor. So how could she really be sure she heard from God? And I want to shut him down real quick. And he said, are you sure you heard from the Lord? I said, yes, I hear from Jesus. And he was like, and I'm about to hang up the phone because now I'm like, I cannot let anybody detour me away from Houston. Amen. I did that before. I'm not doing that again. Right. And I'm about to hang up the phone. And he said, girl, God wasn't talking about Texas. He was talking about me. I said, how you figure you from Alabama? You not from Texas. He said, no, but my last name is.
Houston.
Meet the Houstons. And just like you heard him laugh, that's exactly how I felt like heaven was laughing at me.
Wow.
I felt like, God, you really did it this time. Because if I remember, God never told me I was going to school in Houston. God never told me I was going to Houston. God just told me Houston. Mm. And I had been confessing Houston, Houston, Houston for 3 years. And even though he emailed me a lot, I never paid attention to his last name. Ever. All I knew was Mario. And now I'm Aisha Houston. I finally got to Houston, y'all. It took us, we were, I guess, dating or together for 9 months, and we eloped, and we got married. And he actually had proposed at the end of that year. So technically, at the end of that year, just like I believe God for, I was in Houston.
Praise God.
That's my part of the prophetic Love story, how God can and he will. Listen, he is a matchmaker. He is still putting together people in the most miraculous ways.
Yes, he is. So,